So hey folks, it's mostly winter in the rest of the US, but spring has sprung down here in the land of endless summer. So are you considering a move to Fort Lauderdale area? Hey, let me go ahead and commend you and compliment you on a great choice that you've made. But you might be wondering when the best time to make the move is. Well, we've got you covered. So folks, not sure when to move? Not sure when the best and potentially worst times may be? Looking for tips and tricks, some hints on when to move and what to do? Okay, so in this video, we're going to help you manage the time frame and timetable for your move from wherever you are down to Fort Lauderdale. So why are we talking about the best time to move to Fort Lauderdale? Well, it's a question that we get asked a lot of times from both buyers and from renters. And it's frequently due to, what's going on in the housing market, what's going on in the environment, what's going on in the climate, what's going on down here, and a lot of other things that folks who are not here or from around here or who have been here before, they may not really understand, they may not really have an appreciation for. There really is a factor around this. There are busier seasons than others to look at making the move. The first question that we get asked from a lot of folks is really, does weather really play a role, in kind of planning your move and when you're looking to move? I mean, weather pretty much plays a role in everything that goes on down around here. So as we've said on many of our videos, basically, we really pretty much have three seasons. We have mildly hot, and then we have summer. So, and out of those three seasons, some of the seasons are better, and some of the times are better to move than other times are. So, and a lot of it really depends upon kind of where you're coming from. So, if you're coming from an area that's going to be difficult to get out of, you may want to plan around that. If you're coming from an area, for example, some of our friends that are out in LA that are contemplating moves, Chris, this one's for you, dude, after the conversation this morning. Okay, some of those folks out in San Bernardino Valley, and they're still digging out. So it'd be a difficult time for them to just get the heck out of where they are. But again, if you're coming from the Northeast, you're coming from the Midwest and North, whether you've been hit by storms, or whether you're still just kind of in the grips of winter, kind of factor that into it. As you get further south, it'll get warmer, it'll get less and less snowy. You may still run into some rains, but basically what's going to happen is by the time you get down here, you're going to be welcoming the sunlight and the sunshine. So, and really, our weather is really great year round. Now, there are a couple of areas, a couple of times of the year that we're going to talk about in more detail, but essentially what you really want to do is you want to kind of steer away from doing anything really significant as far as moving during that period of time known as hurricane season. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. This winter's down here in Fort Lauderdale, they're very mild and they're very temperate. I mean, it's the early part of March right now. I mean, and basically we're sitting here with a balmy 85 degrees. It's been like that all day. So it's a terrific time for bringing stuff into Fort Lauderdale. It's also a terrific time for folks that are moving around. If you're looking to move from one location to another, just as applicable to you as it is to everybody else. So go ahead and just kind of listen in. The other thing is that, so let's talk about some of the seasons. So the spring season is typically a time when a lot of folks are out looking for homes and everything. So when you're looking for your home down here, you want to also kind of keep in mind, based upon how long it's going to take me to find your new home, whether you're buying or whether you're renting, and also how long is it going to take you to get everything closed up and packed up from where you're going. The spring season is actually a very good time to do all your pre-planning. We're kind of running our high season, which runs from October through April, is pretty much starting to wind down. A lot of the folks who have been down here for the holidays are already starting to head back home or head back to where their home is. So the crowds are thinning out. Traffic is not nearly as busy and as problematic and as frustrating as it was even as recently as a month or so ago, from the middle of January going back into the early part of the holiday season. So from that perspective, springtime is a good time. One of the challenges that you're going to run into, and we're going to talk about in a little more detail, is that folks that have come down for an extended period of time, they may have used a moving company or maybe used a moving service. So you're going to be maybe a little challenged as trying to find a good mover to basically pack up all of your stuff to come down, as there are a lot of folks who have come down for 3, 4, and 5 months and brought a lot of stuff with them, especially if they've been renting an unfurnished property or if they themselves have gone ahead and made the move. And they're getting ready to take care of finalizing things. So springtime would be a good kind of a pre-planning area. Okay, the summertime, as hot as it may be, and it does get hot, or as Suzanne says, that basically every day now becomes a bad hair day. The summertime is actually one of the best times to consider moving. It is hot, but the crowds have thinned out, the traffic is a lot less, And it's basically the off season for a lot of things that are going on, and that includes the movers. So you'll have a lot more opportunity to talk to movers. You have a lot more availability of movers and a lot more flexibility in what they're doing. So the temperature is also, like I said, it's something to be considered. Okay, but if you plan accordingly, either early morning or late afternoon or early evening, you can pretty much offset that. Now, we mentioned hurricane season earlier. Okay, our hurricane season it runs from June through the end of November. Now, folks, we haven't seen a June or July hurricane in quite some time. In fact, the most recent ones that came by and kind of threatened us, which was Ian and Nicole last year. Ian came through mid to late September, and Nicole showed up actually in November, which was actually really, really late. However, we've been fortunate in that the last 6 or 7 years, every hurricane that's come through here that's threatened this area has actually swung south and gone through the Florida Straits and headed up into the Gulf. Again, our condolences to our friends and our neighbors and our colleagues that are over on the West Coast. But essentially, the hurricane follows the warmer weather. The Gulf of Mexico is a tad bit warmer than the Atlantic Ocean and a tad bit warmer than the Caribbean. So the hurricane themselves follows that. You probably don't want to plan for September, October timeframe for moving, especially if you're looking to relocate with family members or with children. Typical schools have already gotten started back up again, and depending upon time of day and day of week, you're going to run into, while the tourist traffic has been replaced with school buses. So that could be a little bit of a challenge when you're trying to navigate your moving van if you're moving yourself, or waiting for your moving company if you've gone out and actually hired a moving company or moving van to do that. So now one of the things that we've talked about is we've looked at is what we call the shoulder seasons. And the shoulder seasons are basically those times of the year that are just before the peak season and just after peak season. So, I would say probably late August to early September. Again, keeping an eye out for the weather from a hurricane perspective. And then they may be ending up maybe late April into mid to late May. Things are starting to calm down a little bit. A lot of the work that needs to be done has been done. Folks have moved around. The weather's still warm, the crowds have thinned out, okay, and it hasn't gotten really, really hot yet. So that may be something that you want to consider. Okay, also by considering kind of thinking a little bit outside the box. Okay, and again, folks, this is where experts like my team and I come in. One of the things that we are very, very happy to do is kind of make recommendations on who we know and who we've used for all kinds of services, moving services included. We talk about inspection services, we talk about appraisals, we talk about lenders. We're more than happy to. We've got some friends that work for movers, and they're very, very good friends of ours. Okay, so we know we have confidence in them, we trust them, and then we know that they'll do a very good job for you. Okay, but again, then they'll kind of give you some of the hints that we're talking about also. So it's one of the things, think a little bit outside the box if you can. So basically, one of the things that we're really seeing now is that there are a lot of folks that have a variety of reasons for wanting to move down here, and jobs and employment are certainly one of them. Now, I will tell you that the employment situation, or better yet, unemployment is so low down here in South Florida that there are a lot of jobs available. Companies are moving in here right and left. There's all kinds of companies. I mean, you have huge healthcare companies like Memorial Healthcare, big technology companies like Citrix, okay? American Express is down here. There's all kind of financial services companies down here. There's JM Family Enterprises down here, big automobile conglomerate, the whole, everything from automobile systems to automobile dealerships and warehousing and everything. It's huge. There's a lot of opportunity down here for folks that are thinking about coming down here for jobs. So, and as I said, the unemployment rate is lower than it's been in quite a number of years. As a matter of fact, the last time I checked, it was somewhere right around 3.2%, which is actually fantastic. Another very interesting statistic that we brought up before, but it's worth repeating as it relates to both jobs and the economy, is that the GDP, the gross domestic product, as it were, of what they call the Treasure Coast, which is basically the 3 counties that are made up of Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County. The GDP of that is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. In fact, in many cases, it's larger than that of a lot of small countries. That's not to say anything disparaging about the countries. It just talks about how strong the economy is down here, and it's continuing to grow. And the job market is still somewhat cyclical. We do one during period, if you're looking for something in tourism or the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, you're probably going to want to look to come down when those seasons start. Maybe look to come down here in the July, August timeframe, so you can get in and get established, so that if you're looking for a position in the tourism industry, you'll be in here when tourism starts to really pick up. If you're looking for anything else in healthcare, IT, if you're looking for financial services, or you're looking at anything else, it's pretty much a safe bet that anytime you want to come down, you're pretty much going to find what you're looking for, and you're pretty much welcome to come on down. So it's really going to end up depending a lot on basically what your skills are, what your desires are, what your needs are, and kind of when you want to go ahead and do the things that you want to do. But we do encourage you to come up with a plan, and we're more than happy to help you come up with that plan. You feel free to reach out to us. You can email us, you can text us, you can DM us, or you can just kind of skip to the beginning of the line, if you will, and go ahead and click on the Zoom link below and set up a time we can chat for about 40 or 45 minutes about this topic, about moving to Fort Lauderdale and planning for it, or any of the questions that you may have about real estate in and around the Fort Lauderdale and South Florida area. We'd love to talk to you and answer any questions that you all may have. One of the things that people have asked us is about moving companies. Now, if you're like us and you're like everybody else, you've pretty much heard some wonderful stories about moving companies, but you've also heard some horror stories about moving companies. Now, I'm not here to tell you that moving companies are good or moving companies are bad, okay? But I do know that basically most moving companies, from the standpoint of when their busiest seasons are, it's during the summertime. Okay, and that's a very popular time to move because kids are out of school, and that's the time to go ahead and a lot of people go ahead and make the change. So they're looking for homes in the springtime so that they can go ahead and get everything taken care of, and they can move during the summertime. So unless you absolutely positively have to move during the summertime, if you're going to be using a moving company, then you're going to probably pay a little bit more, and you're going to be waiting in line to get a hold of them. So, unless something happens that you need to move in summertime, if you're going to be moving yourself, then whenever you want to do it. Now, one of the things that I've also seen lately, and Phil, I'm going to call this one out on you guys. It's a kind of a little story, quick little story. Some of our dear friends, they decided to relocate back up near Jacksonville, Florida. I refer to him as my brother. He took a job with a company, and they really wanted to have him a little bit closer. So he and his wife and his daughter and his grandson, they decided to move up towards Jacksonville. So everything was done. We got got their condo listed and sold in 4 hours, by the way. And then we found somebody right away, and it was a wonderful transaction. Okay, everything went great. Okay, so, and then, I expressed to Phil and to Kathy that you may want to look as soon as you can into getting a moving van. Well, they went ahead and reached out to a moving company, and I believe it was U-Haul. So, and basically what happened is that they made a reservation, and they went ahead and put the deposit down. And then for whatever reason, when they went to confirm the reservation the night before, the U-Haul people said, we don't have a truck. The upshot is that we were finally able to figure out a way to get it done. Thank goodness. We got everything packed up and everything taken care of, and they moved up, and everything was great. But they ended up having to rent from somebody else. They ended up having to scurry around at the last minute. So again, just one of these things where a little bit of pre-planning, okay, and a little bit of digging around, a little bit of caution is going to go a whole long way in this. So hopefully, it won't be a problem for anybody. Again, if you need some references or some recommendations, we are more than happy to reach out and give you some recommendations on some of our friends. Okay. Now, the other thing you're going to notice about moving companies and moving trucks is that, also like many things in areas where you have a significant variance in population and in demand, for example, like you do in South Florida, okay, is that much like the demand for homes and demand for rental properties is a lot higher from August through April, the demand for moving companies and moving trucks are a lot higher in the summertime. It's a very popular time to move. So you want to factor that into your planning and make sure that you take that into consideration when you plan for your move. The other thing is to take a look at is that in some cases, depending upon how far you're going, okay, it may actually be cheaper in the long run to rent the truck, drive down from where you're driving from, and if it's not too far away, drive it back up, because one-way rentals are a lot more expensive than two-ways. Now, one of the things, just, and ask the folks about it. Now, here's a good story about the U-Haul folks is we recently moved some stuff up to our daughters up in North Carolina, and we rented a trailer from them, and we were going to drop it off up North Carolina, and the cost to drop it off was basically twice what it would cost if we hauled it back down. But we were able to talk to the manager of the U-Haul. She understood what we were trying to do, and she basically took care of us and just charged us as if it was a round trip. And the U-Haul dealership up in North Carolina was more than happy to get an additional piece of equipment. So again, talk to the folks. If you're not sure what to say, talk to us. We can certainly help you figure out what to say. The other thing is that don't be afraid to ask for a free quote. Okay, but when they come out and do the quote, make sure that you give them as much information as you can. can. And folks, ask about insurance. It may be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be a whole lot cheaper than having to replace a bunch of things, especially if those things are irreplaceable. Okay, if you get the insurance for the move, whether you move yourself or whether you have somebody else move for you, look into making sure that that you have insurance and that everything is taken care of. Now, we've said this before, and we'll say it again, and it's worth actually saying right now. It's basically Fort Lauderdale, and South Florida as a whole. They're really known for their sunny and the warm climate. Okay, and it's a very popular destination for folks seeking kind of a laid back and relaxed lifestyle. You know, miles of beaches, all kinds of outdoor recreational activities, bustling nightlife. Okay, the city basically has something for everybody. Okay, so, and also if you're looking for a great family-friendly environment, it also has that too. And if you're looking for something a little more luxurious, a little more opulent, we got you covered. Okay, and there are tons of parks and tons of entertainment and tons of arts and things to do. Okay, so folks, when you are thinking about moving, okay, make sure that you factor some of these intangibles into your moving, and also factor in some of the things when you're planning your move. There are a number of festivals that go on down around here, a number of major events. For example, in October, there is a week-long Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. We've mentioned this before in videos, and we'll continue to mention it. It is the largest boat show of its type in this entire hemisphere. Basically, everybody who is anybody and who wants to be anybody in the boating industry, the yachting industry, and the cottage industries around boating and yachting are here, okay? And I mean, it's just, everything is going on. Now, a lot of the people coming down here are bringing displays and bringing supplies with them, okay? And they're gonna rely heavily on what? Moving companies and movers. So you wanna keep that into consideration. The other thing that we're seeing is that Miami, in February, Miami has a boat show. Okay, which is just as large as the one going on in October. The same thing applies down here. Now, there are a number of festivals. For example, what we have going on right now is the Renaissance Festival down here in Fort Lauderdale. It starts in early February, it runs through March. There's a lot of things that need to be considered when you're bringing all that stuff in. And again, what does that have in common with what we're looking at? It relies on people to help them move stuff, moving companies, trucks, and whatnot to help moving around. So you need to kind of take into consideration some of those things. We're happy to help out. We can kind of give you an idea as to when you tell us when you're looking to move, we can kind of give you an idea as to anything going on, anything happening at that time, or any potential activities or things that may happen when you in time for moving. This is kind of it's a funny story, but it's not funny ha-ha. It's funny kind of peculiar. Okay. Everybody knows that between the college football playoff, or anybody who's a sports fan knows that between the college football playoff, semifinals, finals, the Super Bowl, Miami's Hard Rock Stadium is a very popular venue. Okay. What people don't understand is all of the things that need to come in prior to those events happening and subsequent to those events happening. Okay, puts a humongous strain on basically the moving and transportation and logistics infrastructure around here. So you want to take that into consideration. A lot of folks didn't think about that. We had some friends that were looking to come down from Kansas City area. Okay, and they actually ended up having to delay their move for about 3 weeks because they were timing it at the same time as the Super Bowl was going on. Now, folks, the Super Bowl is a madhouse down here, and it's a great and fun thing to be part of, but I wouldn't recommend trying to move in or out of this area if you're not familiar with it for anything. So it's just one of those things you want to kind of keep in mind. So I guess to try to bring it together is there really a best time to move to Fort Lauderdale? Okay, and the reality is that it's really kind of up to you. I mean, there are reasons and rationale to do whatever needs to be done. And if the more flexibility you have, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to work into something that may be more economical, maybe more viable, may work better for you. Also, while moving down here, trying to move down here, when folks are coming down for the high season, in the mid to late October, early November timeframe, where they're kind of trying to get settled in for either the holidays or for the remainder of the high season, you're going to be dealing with crowds, you're going to be dealing with a lot of traffic, you're going to be dealing with a lot of significant population increase. So basically, there you have it, folks. I mean, the best time to move on Fort Lauderdale really comes down to what it is that you're looking to do and how much flexibility you put into it. There are, as we said, better times to move, and there are some other times that present more challenges for moving down here. So whether it's for job opportunities or weather, or basically, or you just want to go ahead and make the change, okay, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to. As I said, you can email us, you can text us, you can call us, you can DM us. or you can click on the Zoom link and set up a time where we can chat for 40 to 45 minutes. All the information that we have, and if there are questions that you're asking that we don't know the answer to, we will get the answers to those questions and get back to you as soon as possible. So, and I hope that this has provided some valuable insight, some valuable advice, and hopefully it's given you all some things to think about and to help you make the right decision.